Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. Here's the thing. We're in the middle of how to say things in a soft manner, how to use feminine charm, which we're going to get into today. And we're talking about how to communicate in a way that your husband can hear you. Okay, I'm going to read a couple of pages from Marriage Secrets. By the way, if you haven't got it yet, it's Marriage Secrets by me, Leah Richheimer. I can push it as much as I want because all of the royalties go for charity. So I'm the only reason I want you to buy it is so that you will have a better marriage. Okay, and a better life. Watch it. You will see. Okay, feminine charm. We're on Marriage Secrets, page 186. Feminine charm. Another key factor in how to say things is to understand that charm goes a long way towards getting the desired results. In this age of communication, when saying it like it is and letting it all hang out is seen as the ideal, good old-fashioned feminine charm is often viewed as manipulative. How about shifting that viewpoint to, hey, this actually works? Here are some examples of blunt versus charming sentences. You be the judge by considering which sentence you would prefer to hear. Blunt. Why am I the only one who does any work around here? Charming. Do you mind helping me unload the dishwasher? Blunt. I am sick and tired of shutting off all the lights around the house. Charming. Any ideas on ways to get people to shut off the lights to help save on our electric bill? Blunt. Everyone on our block put out their menorahs already. Charming. I have a menorah and candles here all ready for you to set up. More charming examples. I wonder if it's a good idea to test drive the Toyota just for a comparison before we buy the Ford. The dishwasher is on its last legs. Can we fit buying a new one into our budget just now? I wonder if we consider having your mother sleep at our neighbors during the bar mitzvah so it's less stressful for me. Just throwing in my 2 cents, but I wonder what you would think of the idea of taking the kids to the amusement park. Okay, these are all using your feminine charm. They are much more successful. You might say to your husband, take the kids to the amusement park. I'm exhausted, and he might do it. But is he feeling closer to you or feeling pushed away and ordered around? That's our plan here, using feminine charm to create closeness. As you can see, it's pretty obvious that the charming versions will be much more effective than the blunt ones. It's respectful and appeasing. It's just how you would approach a king. Remember, if we treat our husband like a king, he will treat us like a queen. You have to use your own judgment, and it's often a matter of trial and error, but I'm hoping you can discern a tone here that reflects the kindly nature versus the commanding nature. People simply respond better to a kinder tone. There is an old Yiddish saying, you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Each time before you open your mouth, try to reword whatever you are going to say to be as charming as possible. If you feel like you're being manipulative, counter that feeling by realizing that charm actually puts shalom first and foremost. The charmer's skill is to say something in a way that her husband can actually hear it, which is the best way to communicate from our heart to his heart. Let me try that again. Now I'm going to teach you a great trick. Let me try that again. As we see from Bereshis Rabbah, before God created the world, he created tshuva, atonement. That means he understood that even when we attempt to do good, we will make many mistakes throughout our lives. And Baruch Hashem, we have the beautiful opportunity before us to always correct ourselves, even mid-mistake. So here is a wonderful tool that will help us to get as we grow in our communication abilities. The simple words are, let me try that again. Okay, we're on page 188 at the top. You say, I can't believe you left the car without lifting a finger to help me carry these bags. Immediately, you realize that you failed to think about how to best phrase your words for the best results. So you then say, let me try that again. Can I ask you a favor? I could really use a hand getting the bags into the house. See how gorgeous that is? Like, it works. It's like, that he jumped up and helped. Okay, you say through gritted teeth, why didn't you call to tell me you'd be late? I was worried sick. Then you realize all you did was put your husband on the defensive. So you say, let me try that again. Please call me next time so I don't worry. Which one's going to be heard better, ladies? Okay. You shout, slow down. We're going to get into an accident. Right away, you realize that you spoke unkindly and created a lot of unpleasant tension in the car. So you then say in a nicer tone, let me try that again. I know we are late, but there's no need to rush so much. Even if it takes you a long time to remember to try again, it's worth it. Who wants to live a life with a gray cloud of tension hovering over them? Not me. Okay, you yell. You always do that. You make some demeaning comment and then blame me for being too sensitive. You're the one who should be more careful about what you say. Afterwards, you realize that you have just created a giant wall between the two of you, when what you really wanted deep down was to be closer to your husband. So you say, let me try that again. I'm sure you didn't do it on purpose, but the comment you made hurt my feelings. Would it be possible for you to try to rephrase your comment in a nicer way? The point you see here is that the only way to improve our communication abilities is one communication at a time. When we fail, there is no rule saying we can't try again. Often our pride gets in the way and we find it hard to humble ourselves by admitting that we were wrong. It's obviously far easier to stay mad, to continue to justify our outburst and to make our husband wrong than to admit that our language or tone wasn't very nice. The sooner you can make the phrase, let me try that again, into a well-worn habit, the more harmony you will have. Also, as I mentioned earlier, only focus on using these new tools with your husband, at least for now. It will complicate your learning curve by trying to be diplomatic with your children and everyone else at the moment. Improving your communication skills with your husband will improve them everywhere in your life, so don't worry about it for now. Also, don't try to work on improving your husband's communication skills. It will usually backfire. No one likes to be told what to do. Perhaps he will learn from your example, but don't depend on it. Just work on yourself and know that your efforts will gain you eternal merit. The bottom line is self-correction midstream is a learned skill that can reap untold rewards. Make your new best friend for communication this simple little phrase, let me try that again. Okay, ladies, I hope you have some questions coming in about this. This is a new tool. Your life is about to change. Okay.
Amazing. Okay. So Mimi asks, I love the idea you speak about how the husband brings in the bracha and we are vessels to welcome and hold his bracha. My question is asking my husband for something, asking for him to bring in bracha? Should I not ask and let him offer? And that's when he's bringing the bracha? I hope that makes sense.
It does. And also, by the way, I love how you said, oh, your ideas about blah, blah, blah. Ain't my ideas, sweetie pie. Those are Chazal. That's our 3,000 bulletproof track record. I just told it to you, but I didn't make it up. This is we have many, many sources. And the whole thing is our Shalom Bias Masorah. And the more you know our Shalom Bias Masorah, the happier you're going to be in your marriage. Bulletproof plan. I mean, it's like it works. Okay, so that's the first to correct that or to clarify that. And the issue you have to think about is that if a woman isn't a receiver for blessing and she's just kind of like, she's never thanking her husband, she's never appreciating her husband, she's never, letting the bracha that he's bringing into the home into their home, into herself and into their home. If she's not doing that, everything looks like, dry as the house just isn't filled with warmth. The more she receives from him, the warmer the home, the more bracha from Shemayim, the more closeness, the more joy, the more happiness and simcha in their home. So if she is soliciting that bracha by receiving from him and soliciting things and asking him for her needs and she's kind of, milking the cow, whatever, she's bringing it into their home. And for those of you on the podcast who are just listening, I'm kind of like grabbing from God, from Hashem, from Shemayim, and bringing it into my heart. It's like you're just, your left hand brings it in, your right hand brings it in, your left hand brings it in. If the more a woman solicits her bracha from her home, the more from her husband, the more bracha will be in her home. So that means, for instance, if you're like, boy, when you're at the grocery store, can you pick out a nice peach for me? He's going to forget that. Hold on a second. Or you text it to him. So here, as part of the list, a juicy peach for your wife, or you say, I really need a compliment right now. I'm feeling so low. I just got off the phone with somebody who was really mean to me or bullied me or made me feel badly. Can you say a few things to make me feel better about it? Even call them stupid. That's okay. Whatever. That kind of solicitation of bringing the bracha in is perfectly not only acceptable, but it's needed, because the more you, not in a demanding way, but in a, we have a show called Damsel in Distress. You go take a look at it if you can. It talks about how, a man loves to come kill a spider for a woman. Why? He just wants to give for her. He wants to take care of her. So the more you solicit that from him, the closer you're going to be to him. And the closer, here's the key, ladies, the closer he's going to feel to you, because you need him. The whole society is like, I don't need a man. Why? I can do it myself. I can change a light bulb myself. I can bring in money myself. I don't need him. A man craves more than anything, to be needed by his wife. So go to it, ladies. Good question. Okay, good. Next.
Okay, so Tamara asks, I'd love to learn how to communicate encouragement towards my husband. I often feel like I sound so fake and cheesy when I try to encourage my husband. He actually told me once that I sound like I'm his mother and that he feels patronized and degraded. And I was trying so hard to uplift him. Would love some tips. Thank you.
Fantastic. So the biggest tip is every husband is different. You know your husband better than anybody. You need a heart-to-heart with him. You need to say to him, listen, I don't know what to do because you think it sounds cheesy and whatever. I'm trying so hard. I will admit, I am not the best communicator in the world. I try, I work at it, whatever. I love to get better. My communication must sound phony to you, but please, can you understand? It's coming from my heart. It's coming from my desire to appreciate everything you do, and not just appreciate it, but to show you and to communicate it to you. And I'm lousy at it, obviously, because you say I sound like your mother. You say it sounds cheesy. You say it, whatever. Please tell me what to do. Do you want me to just say, that's great? Teach me. And you're taking the problem. And for those of you on the podcast, I'm taking my two hands cupped together and handing it to the problem to your husband and say, please help me figure out how to skin this cat so that I can make you happier than you've ever been in your life. He's not going to argue. Okay. Good luck with it. Very good. Thanks, Gila. What you got for me?
Okay. Bela says, I started using, let me try this again. And now I say it more often than I say anything else. It's really shocking how often I need to rethink what comes out of my mouth. I feel kind of down on myself that I have so far to go.
I hear it. So first of all, all studio audience, everybody, let's give her a round of applause.
Yay.
Everyone's clapping for you, hugging, yay. Okay, very good. That's awesome, the work that you're doing. Keep it up. You will see results. It's guaranteed. It always works. And don't be down on yourself. Down on yourself is somebody who has given up, somebody who isn't even trying, somebody who isn't even working at themselves. I have women and they come into, I used to teach a 6-week course, whatever, and they would come in and they're like, I didn't want people to see me coming here because this is like, 10 or 15 years ago when it was pasnish to work on your marriage, which is shocking. It's like that's like the number one thing for our happiness, the number one thing that God wants from us. And like it was, people were embarrassed. They're not anymore. Thank God. It's maybe what we're doing is working for the last 12 years. Anyways, whatever. No, it's the Klal Yisrael has seen the light and realized that we've got to all be working on Shalom Bayis, and people see everyone's, having their divorce, whatever. So they're working harder at it. And please God, we should continue, to work on this. But in any case, for you, the key and the secret for you to do this is to realize that there's always a gap between where we are and where we want to be. If we're a growing person, if we're not, who cares? They say the root of all bad qualities is letting the status quo, just letting life go any direction that it goes. That's the root of every bad midah there is. Contrary to that, the root of all good midos, the root of all good qualities and growth is the determination. This is Rav Volbe, Rav Yerucham, the determination to do what is ethically the right thing and the moral and the correct thing to do, basically the thing God wants you to do, and putting that first over your own natural inclination or your own desires, and this is a constant battle. And as we grow, and God willing, after 120, we give our neshama back to Hashem, having conquered that many, 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 many hundreds and thousands of times in our life to do the right thing each and every day. So that's where we're at. But there are people who just like they're at wherever they're at. Like, that's the way God created me, and that's the way I am, and whatever. And they're just going down the hill. For you, you have a goal. Here's where you are. Here's where you'd like to get to, and you're heading towards it. Never feel bad about yourself of how you are. I mean, some of that feeling bad about how you are prods you to grow to be the better person. Okay, so that's not bad. But in a way, if feeling badly about yourself prods you to grow more, good on you. If feeling badly about yourself makes you feel like giving up and feel, low self-esteem and, whatever, then that's very destructive. And you just have to flip it. And you just have to say to myself, I'm not going to let this pull me down. I'm working. I'm going up the ladder. It's not where you are on the ladder. It's there you're going up or you're going down. You're going up. And I'm here, Leah Richheimer. I am personally acknowledging you and saying, good on you, good for you. We're proud of you. We're behind you. And God himself is looking at you and saying, this woman is really trying. And if you try, he'll make the road even easier for you. Whereas if you're beating yourself up for where you're holding, that's the Yetzer Hara attacking you and bringing you down. So a fantastic question, and just keep plodding along and don't put yourself down. You're doing great work. Okay. Very good. Okay. Gila, what you got?
Okay. Amazing. Okay. Adina says, my husband gets very frustrated when we're having an argument because I always ask to take space and regroup for a few minutes so I can think clearly and stay calm, while he likes to work things out right as they happen. Should I continue to ask for space first, even though it really adds to my husband's frustration? This is a tricky one.
I hear it. So there's a little bit of self-deception here that's possible, which is you're asking for space as a way to step your husband out. Okay. I mean, I get it. You probably do need space, and, some people take time to process and whatever, but that can easily become a bad habit of pushing your husband away. So I'm going to give you some difficult homework. Important homework, but difficult homework. Okay, here it is. I want you to write down all of the reasons and rationales of why you need space, to examine, to do introspection, to see, some of it's because that's how you were raised. Some of it's because, maybe a parent or a sibling or somebody always shoved things down your throat and made the decision, and you were just like, you couldn't even process and catch up before they're already going off to the beach when you had really wanted to go off to the forest, or whatever it is that you feel squelched in your childhood from not being able to have a voice. And so having that space allows you to have that freedom. That could be true, and it could be very, very valid. But writing that down and doing the introspection necessary for that will help you to understand yourself better, and that will help you to explain better to your husband, which is step 2 of this important homework I'm giving you. Okay, so that's so step 1, you're introspecting, and you also want to introspect and be honest with yourself. And what's the word I'm looking for? Self-divulgent, whatever. Owning up. You really have to be owning up to the fact, are you using that needing quote unquote space because it in the middle of a conflict or in the middle of a thing, it puts your husband off, it puts your husband down, it pushes him away? Are you doing that in order to for nefarious reasons, for not such great reasons? And own that and say, I think this is 5% of the issue, or, oh golly, I realized, Leah, you're right. It's really like 80% of it is that I'm just so annoyed with him because he's bringing up these conflict things, and I don't deal with conflict well. So saying I need space is my way of putting him down, pushing him away, shutting him up, having control of the situation. And if that's the case, owning that is going to be very powerful in your ability to push that aside and do things that make you closer to your husband instead of pushing him away. So step 1 is writing all this introspection down. Okay. Step 2 is planning a conversation with your husband about it and saying, I want to talk about something that's kind of a little bit heavy, whatever. When can we have a heart-to-heart conversation, like that? And then sitting down with your husband, phones, no, well rested, well eaten, fed, whatever. And, and saying to your husband, listen, here's the situation I'm dealing with. I realize that it's so, so important to me that when we have conflicts or when we have things we want to discuss, that we have a good pattern of behavior that brings us closer instead of shredding us apart. And I feel like so many times, because I need space, it makes you so upset that we can't come to a good resolution about it. It really is in the way of us being able to be close with these, in these conflicting times. So here's what I've done, and I'm just about to be very, very vulnerable with you, husband. Okay, you have to know your husband, what's going to work, but and so I'm giving you some words you can say that you have to put that into your own words, but just I'm about to be very vulnerable with you, but I realize that 50% of my need for space is because when I was a little girl, nobody let me get a word in edgewise. And so I process slower than other people when it comes to conflicting things. When it comes to running the house, I can make decisions like this, boom, 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 boom. So you think when it comes to this, I'd be able to do that. But when a little bit of emotion thrown in the mix and I go into, I need space, So 50% of it is because of that. And here's the hard part. 50% of it is my needing to feel control over you, or needing to have a distance from you, or needing to make me feel like I have control in the conversation against you. I know it's wrong. I know it's not ideal. I don't know how to deal with that. I'm just owning up and being vulnerable to letting you know that. And I think once you know that, it will make it easier for me if I say, I need space. I need the space because of my childhood traumas. I'm not doing this to push you away, but I really do need space. Or, you know what, right now, I could probably hear what you're going to say, but I'm feeling angry and anxious and I want to push you away, but I'm not going to. I'm going to sit in this conversation, like that. You'll figure out with your husband what the best method to move forward. Now, if you have great communication history you've handled a lot of conflicts well, whatever, then that's great. This would work. If you have no history of having big problems in your marriage resolving well, that you need to go to a third party, or you've always needed to, consult a Rav or find out or do something other, and you as a couple, you are not good at communicating through conflicts well. If that is your history, you might need to bring a third party in. But it might be worth attempting first to see whether you and your husband solve this. This is a tougher one, but it's very, very important that you learn how to communicate with him this specific issue, because handling conflicts, they come up daily, weekly, monthly, big ones come up many times a year. You'll have huge decisions you need to make, and you need to have a good plan between the two of you. You need to have a good plan to work them out in a way that doesn't create distance. And for whatever reason, God gave you a man who has brought you this challenge so that you can overcome it. And God never gives us problems we can't overcome. Okay, very deep, very good question. I hope that was helpful to you. And you can report back at info@Ladies Talk Show. I'd love to hear how it went for you. Okay, very good. Gila,
Yeah, that was beautiful.
You're
telling her to introspect and think about how to, why she's feeling the need to have space.
Yeah. It could be, some of it could be real, some of it could be fake, but not fake, but wanting to push him away. But in any case, having clarity about that is a big, huge win for getting closer.
On to the next question. Leela says, sometimes I worry that it feels a little bit like my husband and I are running a business together instead of a loving marriage, because the bulk of our conversations are about our to-do list and our kids. Any tips for fostering more connecting conversation?
Wow. That's a good question. So first of all, there's date night. And on date night, if all of your daily conversations are about kids and logistics, Date night, guess what? No logistics or kids talk during, you're gonna have to, think of other things to talk about. So on date night, you can make a list of questions you want to have. Why did your boss move the company to the other location? Why does how come you bought that car? I thought you would wanted the other car. Things that are just he'll have to go into, write down, literally, some women write a notebook with like 20 questions on it. You can put it on your phone, so you can go to the restroom and during the restaurant and scroll through and think of three, you can remember three that you come back and sit down and ask them about. It's really, really crucial. We had a whole conversation, a whole show, many shows about listening to your husband, how crucial it is in bonding with your husband. So that's really, really critical. The other thing is that you yourself have many things that are going on in your life. And if the only thing in your life is logistics, managing the home and raising the kids, you need to figure something else out. You need to do something 1 hour a week, go to a painting class, 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week, go to yoga with your friends, take a walk with your friends every Tuesday morning. That's what you do. You need to have other outlets so that your myopic view of the world is expanded. And then you have something to, I went walking and we're on this thing and there were all these dogs there and I was kind of really scared, but I was really proud of myself because I walked and the dogs, and I just, someone told me that if you act scared, the dog will know and start barking. But if you act like you're not scared, and I did that, and I'm really, whatever. I'm just bringing up these crazy, wild examples, but I'm saying, the more, you've got to have an outlet for yourself. It's just your box of time. And I know you're like, are you crazy? I've got 7 kids. I've got no help. I've got Yentis myself. I've got, my mother lives out of town, this and that. I don't get along with my sister. She never helps it. Whatever it is, everyone's got their life and their issues. Doesn't matter. We know from Chazal that we are meant to have windows and pockets of time to socialize, windows and pockets of time for self-care. And self-care can just be doing nothing, can be reading a book, can be hanging out on the couch. It doesn't have to be doing fancy things. So if you have that, if you have more balance in your own life and more varied things going on in your life, you'll have more to talk about. And it might be you're so in the habit of logistics and kids talk that that's what you're always your go-to place. And then you have to put very, very firm boundaries, a wall, a boundary, and say, and if one of you slips into talking about logistics, say, we're not doing logistics. You have to get your husband's buy-in for this. We're not talking about the kids, so you need to talk to him and say, listen, I think we need more just us time, and sell him on the idea, and then explain to him what happens during that, which is just being with each other and sharing each other. And as a very, very wise Rebbitzin once said to one of my students, and she reported it back to me, the Rebbitzin said, please God, you're married to your husband for, 50, 60 years, and you're raising kids for 20 to 25 to 30 years. And so most of your married life, or at least half of your married life or more, is with your spouse. So if you don't learn how to communicate and discuss with them, you're going to be awfully lonely at the tail end of your life. So it's something definitely we should all be working on. Okay, this is Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show. And let me give you your homework. One time this week, when you are feeling very disconnected from your husband, think about why. Do some introspection. What's keeping me, what might I be doing to push my husband away? You're just doing the homework to think about what ways that you're pushing your husband away, or a time you're pushing your husband away. Extra credit is if you actually do something about it, like say, let me try that again. Or you say, you know what, I don't like the way this night is going. I'm sorry. Can we just do a reset? Like, let's do reboot the computer. And I don't know what you said and I said, and maybe it's your fault. Maybe it's my fault. Probably it's my fault. We have a big joke in my family. This is my fault. My fault. Must have been my fault. Someone spills milk across the table. And, must have been my fault. And it just breaks all the tension because it's warm and yummy. So, you can say, I don't know what happened tonight. Can we just do a reset? So that's extra credit. The homework is to do some introspection on what you might do to cause distance in your relationship. Okay, this is Leah Richheimer. Can't wait to see you next time. If you want more, we have so much more. If you want to learn our Masorah and have an awesome marriage, the first thing we have is a foundations course. It's a 13-week course. You get all your questions answered. It's live with me, and you can ask Q&A. It's awesome. Second thing we have is a coaching program. If you are awesome with people and you want to know the Masorah better than 99% of the people on the planet Earth, like for reals, okay? It's a 4-month program. It's very intense. We have major scholarships, and we have somebody who's granted in a lot to pay for a big bulk of it. It's still a little expensive, but for what you get, and then you can start charging money to know it. That's the coaching program. Don't miss it. Go to www.ladiestalkshow.com. Look up the foundations course, look up the coaching. We do retreats, we do all kinds of stuff. You'll find it there. www.ladiestalkshow.com. Thanks for being with us. Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show.